You guys ever use new incognito window in Chrome?
Never.
Here we go.
I have.
I use it all the time whenever we have a bunch of...
Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next few hours, along with Nick. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
And Mike is here.
Hello.
And Bruce is here.
All right, from the Hill City, Lynchburg, Virginia.
Nick, you sound much better.
I feel much better.
Good. We had a few problems here, but we're getting through it. Let me clean up some things here. You guys, go ahead. You want me to give you something to talk about?
Yes, would you give us something to talk about?
I give you some. Talk amongst yourselves.
I'm afraid Gene's going to fall out of his chair if we don't get busy talking here. He's really having a crisis at the moment, and we don't want that to happen again.
Well, let's talk about redundant systems and backup plans. I mean, that's a great topic to begin the show with, don't you think?
Okay, Bruce, why don't you lead that conversation?
Well, I'm kind of like the referee. I toss the ball up, and I'll let you and Nick bat it to see who gets possession. But I'll frame.
So you're in management.
No, I'll frame the situation. So you're ready to go live, and something's wrong with one of your CDNs. And I had this problem last night with Bamboozer. I wasn't able to start my stream. I tried it 5 or 6 times. Each time I was tweaking bitrate. I was doing bandwidth test and everything. And so you need to have a backup CDN first of all, and then it's helpful if you have a program like Wirecast or like VidBlaster, who's one of the sponsors of this show, that VidBlaster guy, or XSplit, where you can have these CDNs pre-set up. And so for me, I had installed the YouTube Live plugin. I qualified to be able to do YouTube Live, and I went ahead and just switched CDNs, started streaming to YouTube Live, and boom, I was able to keep things going. So you got to have an alternate CDN should one go down. And you need to have the ability to quickly switch to that. And Amnon, he can explain more. Maybe you can explain, since you were describing what he does. On your website, where you're driving traffic to, you've got your embed of your video. And if that embed is, of course, unique to the CDN you're using, Amnon was able to quickly switch his embed from Bamboozer to, I assume, Daily Motion. Correct, Nick?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So, a lot of people would have said, "Oh, sorry, we can't do a show today," or they'd be working for an hour to get something up, and all their viewers would be gone. So,
well, what Amnon does, and again, we assume that everyone knows what we're talking about here, but a CDN is a content delivery network, I believe, is what that stands for. And what that means is that we send the audio. We uplink or send the audio and video to a CDN. Usually it's a company called Bamboozer, BAMBUSER.com. If you go there, you miss the chat and all sorts of things. But that's the service that we use. Amnon then has the computers2know.com webpage that has HTML code in it to pick up what's called the video embed from Bambuser. All that means is when you go to computers2know.com, whenever you click on that page and you see our pretty faces, you're actually seeing a window into the Bambuser or CDN, the server. They are providing that video, and we are serving it through our web page. And like Bruce says, when that CDN is down, or in this case where there may be a routing issue or something has changed between here and there, we don't know what. We don't have access to all of the internal bones of the system. But whenever that switches over and then another system will work, then Amnon goes into the computers2know.com webpage, changes some code that is already in there. He goes in and remarks some code so that just certain parts that were not working now work and vice versa. Then whenever you refresh the page, you're watching the embedded video from the CDN that we are now streaming to that's working, which in this case is Dailymotion. And if you're going to be a live broadcaster, you got to be prepared for that stuff because it happens and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Yeah. So, for example, I did my show last Friday. It was the first week I tried using Dailymotion for my show, and I did a test stream about half an hour before the show, and I connected, and it looked good. And as soon as I started the show, I was about 5 minutes into it, maybe 10 minutes into it, and a lot of people said that Dailymotion was stuttering, and that's been an issue with Dailymotion, as they are still in beta. So, mid-show, I had to set up another CDN. I was using Justin TV as my backup CDN, and then I embedded it on my website, for people to look at if they had an issue with Dailymotion. So you've always got to be able to quickly or easily get to that backup plan.
And that's what Amnon's in the process of doing, is making sure that all the gazentas and comes out are where they're supposed to be.
And it seems like it's where it's supposed to be.
Nick, let me ask you a question since you do a gaming show. If you were to stream your gaming show to YouTube Live, would you get an infraction because the music in the game is copyrighted, or do you know?
I've dealt with YouTube regularly uploading videos. I've gotten takedown notices from music that was in video games, so I would imagine so.
Yeah,
I've gotten it once before. And that's just stupidity on YouTube's part, because the game developer tells you, yeah, go ahead, stream our game, and YouTube goes, nope, that music's copyrighted by the game developer.
Yeah.
So that's stupidity on YouTube's part.
It's interesting. So. I don't know. Of course, I think you were in the one of the Hangouts when I was talking about this. But if you go to your YouTube channel and your video manager, if you have a YouTube channel, down on the bottom, there's a creative button where they've got all kinds of royalty-free music of different genres and types that you can download and use in the background for your shows. I thought that was pretty cool. Of course, there's a lot of other sites to get royalty-free music, but it's nice that YouTube provides that right on your channel.
Is YouTube Live going to be a major player in the content delivery system?
I believe so. I believe they could be now, but Google's got so many other things going on. They've had some issues with Hangouts this week. They're moving Google Plus. They're really focusing on having Google Plus be the one-stop shop for not just social media but everything. I mean, they've got the whole Google sphere. It's like going into a mall and having a shop for this and a shop for that, but yeah, I think it's going to be huge.
Or it's like going into a Hardee's and trying to read everything on the menu
and getting your food on time.
Oh, within a week.
I saw that post. I tell my kids, it's funny when we're traveling. I say, all right, I'm really nice, okay, because you know how guys are when we're on vacations. Our goal is to conquer, right, the trip. So I say, okay, where would you guys which fast food restaurant would you like to go through a drive-through and get lunch? And so I let them decide, I'm willing to defer to Burger King, Wendy's, or whatever. And so they decide. And so we're pulling into the parking lot of whatever fast food restaurant they chose. And I say, okay, we've eaten at this fast food restaurant hundreds of times before, so you probably already know what you want. So be thinking right now as I'm coming up to the drive-through what you want. And still, they're looking out the windows. They're looking at this menu they've stared at hundreds of times before, I already know what I want,
But Bruce, you've eaten there so many times. The question is, do you want to try something new?
Well,
that's always the issue.
Every once in a while, they pop out the McRibs, which is the sorriest excuse for quasi-meat dish that there is in the world.
Who has that? Oh, that would be McDonald's if it's Mac Ribs.
Right.
Mac ribs?
Mac Ribs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not fit to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a ground pig snout.
I'll get into it.
I don't talk about it. But what was so strange, I've been married for about 100 years, it seems. My wife thinks it's been a lot longer. But it was so funny because I rarely eat bread. I mean, I try to eat like a diabetic because carbs, they're not good for you. They make you fat, and I'm already fat, and they make me fatter, and I don't want to be fatter. I try to eat as much as I can like a diabetic, which means that I don't eat hamburgers with buns. I don't eat all that stuff. I don't eat I don't eat French fries. But Friday we were coming back from Tennessee. We went up there for a couple of days. And in coming back, it was really strange because when we travel, my wife will not say, can we go here? Can we do that? Let's go do this. She'll just say, oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I said, no, what do you want to do? And so finally I'll have to say, she'll say, I said, are you hungry? Yeah, I'm starting to get hungry. I said, all right, where are we going to eat? And she says, I don't know, whatever you want to do. No, we're not stopping unless you say something. You've got to say the name of a restaurant or something you want to eat, or we're just going to keep going. And so she thought about it. She looked around. And as soon as I said that, I looked up, and I don't know, we were in a little small town, and we're riding through, and I saw this sign for hot dogs. And I had this strange desire, for a hot dog bun and all. And I said, boy, I'd sure love to stop at Hardee's. And so we rode about another 10 or 15 minutes. She said, why don't we stop at Hardee's? Of all places. I mean, Hardee's is the last place you would normally think to stop. And
did you get a hot dog?
I did, finally. And it's really strange because no one was in the store except about 3 or 4 or 5 people. I ordered it. I was very clear. I wanted a hot dog with mustard, extra mustard, chili, and no onions. And so it came out with mustard, chili, and onions.
So we can rescue this segment regarding tech by talking about the drive-thru and my disdain and distaste for pre-roll ads on drive-through windows. Do you guys like that? I mean, you pull up and it triggers, and it assumes you might want to order their latte or something else like that. And so it says, place your order now. And so I start ordering, and then inevitably, 9 times out of 10, they weren't, a real person wasn't ready to take the order. And they say, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? And then I've got to repeat it again.
I'd say, no, I've already said it once. Just go with what I said. Then they spit in your food. Who's doing these ads? I've never seen one.
All of them. Hardee's, Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's.
I have never seen it. I don't go through drive-thrus.
At least they can't do mid-roll ads because by that time I'm at the pay window.
I don't go through drive-thrus anymore. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Andrew Zarian, I understand, is going to be opening up a drive-through bar in Queens.
Well, it'll go bankrupt because he'll consume all the profit.
He's not even here to defend himself.
Sure he
he's
is.
in the chat.
Oh, he is. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's saying hello.
Gene says the only thing good at Hardee's is their chili. But, Gene, I don't know if you want to know what's in that chili.
Fingers.
Well, speaking of chili, I went to my daughter marched in a band competition. It was in Salem, Virginia. And so I went underneath the grandstands to the concession, and I saw Frito Fiesta. I don't know what that is. So I asked him, what's Frito Fiesta? And what Frito Fiesta was, and I did try it, they take a bag of Fritos, the little single bag. They open it up, and they pour some chili and cheese on top of the Fritos, stick a spoon in the bag, and give you the bag.
Heart attack, not extra.
It was good.
Sounds pretty good. I might have to go try that.
Yeah, Frito Fiesta. Somebody commented on my post and said in Texas they call that Frito pie, but
I went into when we were. Well, this trip was such a whirlwind trip. I don't remember exactly where we were. Let me think a second. Somewhere near Sevierville, Tennessee. Pigeon Forge. Somewhere in that area. And my wife loves to go to antique shops. The smaller, the better. But there were a couple of large ones there she wanted to see that had gotten some pretty good reviews on the sites that she visits. When we travel, our eating schedule gets off. So we got to this antique shop. It was next door to a Taco Bell.
Oh.
And I said, "Are you hungry?" She said, "No, I'm not hungry right now." And I said, "Well, what the heck? I'm going to go get something that'll hold me over till dinner time," because I wasn't starving, but I was sort of getting hungry. Anyway, I went in there, and I haven't been in a Taco Bell in at least 5 years. So I go in there, look at the menu, which took about an hour, seems like. And I saw something on there called a 5-layer burrito or something like that. I know it had 5 layers or something. I said, we'll give that a shot. So
Sorry.
I ordered it. Huh?
Said, I'm sorry.
It was delicious.
I don't know.
That what happened, I sat there and waited about 10, 12 minutes, and it never came out. And the lady behind the counter came over, "Did you get your food yet?" "No, ma'am, I haven't." "I don't know what's going on. Hold on a minute." So she went back there in a couple of minutes, came out with it. Now, I don't know if they put extra beef and cheese on it or what, but I got to tell you, the thing was delicious. So don't know that I'm going to do it again, but anyway, I ate it.
Did you have to use the restroom short after?
No, I didn't. It was very good. And apparently, if you're an old feller at Taco Bell, drinks are free.
Wow.
Now, for us, the number one consideration for a fast food restaurant is how's their free Wi-Fi bandwidth?
Didn't even check it.
McDonald's is pretty good. I've had very good experience with McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, as have I. Yeah.
Speaking of bandwidth, we only stayed in hotels a couple of nights. I posted some links to the bandwidth that we had. One night I had 10 megabit upload. The other night I had 5 megabit upload. It was, I think the highest ping time I had was about 45, 50 seconds.
Milliseconds.
Yeah, milliseconds.
Yeah.
I was
I've
stunned.
never had a good and I mean never have had a good experience with hotel internet. That's not an exaggeration. I have never been to a hotel and had good internet. Never ever.
I was blown away. One of these hotels, I can't even remember what it was. I'll have to look back through the credit card and see what it was. But I mean, it was the first one. It was fabulous, and there were a lot of people there. And the second one was a Marriott, and it was good.
I'm doing I'm going to a big convention in Atlanta. Fly out Tuesday. And on Wednesday, our booth will be in a separate part of the arena. And then on Thursday and Friday, it'll be in the main arena where we have paid for Cat 5 internet connectivity to our booth. But we didn't want to pay that same price just for one day at the other building when we're doing what they call labs. And so on Wednesday, and I've got this all set up and been testing it, and my hope is that Atlanta's AT&T 3G LTE network will be strong enough. And for the labs, there's not as many people who come, but for the main conference, there'll be 20,000 people there in this big arena. But I'm going to tether off of my phone on Wednesday with my Chromebook, and I'm going to run our entire booth tethered to my Galaxy Note 2 on AT&T's LTE network and using my Samsung Chromebook. And I've already worked all this. I'll HDMI into a 39-inch Vizio TV that we use for our booth to demonstrate our website and so forth. I found a really great YouTube extension for Chrome called YouTube Options, YTO, where I can actually loop our corporate videos that we've made, because sometimes we'll want them to loop on the monitor screen, like during breaks and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all this works.
How are you going to do that without blowing up all your bandwidth?
Well, I mean, I'll first of all, I'll just be doing it one day, and I'm going to. I do have Linux running on my Chromebook, and so I do have an AVI version of the clips that I would play, and I installed VLC on that Ubuntu that I have on my Chromebook, so I don't have to stream a lot of video over YouTube. And so just using, just browsing our company's website is really not going to be that bandwidth intensive. And I have unlimited bandwidth with AT&T, and I should be fine. It certainly will burn less bandwidth than what I would normally do out of town doing a mobile hangout. You
say unlimited bandwidth, but don't you get a cap at about 3 gig?
They don't start throttling me till I get up around 5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That'd take me a day.
Yeah.
I think. I'm using about 175 a month. Well, let's see what I'm using. Let's see here. If I can remember how to get there.
Well, I was telling you earlier in the show, my daughter was marching in this competition, and so I took my Galaxy Note 2 and I videoed the entire show that they did. I got home, uploaded it to YouTube. It finished processing in time for me to go pick up my granddaughter at the high school where the bus had just gotten in, tethered to my phone. She got in the car, opened up the Chromebook, and I said, "Here, you can watch your show." Boom, she was watching it on her lap on the way home.
Technology can be a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
Let's see what I'm doing here for bandwidth. If you have Time Warner, you can log in to myservices.timewarnercable.com, click on My Internet, click on the link that says My Usage Details, and view it. And wow, 289 gigabytes already for September. I wonder why. It would be nice if you could, I mean, I don't care, but so for June it was 186, July 156, August 191, September 289. That's really bizarre. It would be nice to know where it's all coming from.
Your router should log it.
Well, when you say the route, I mean, if it's all HTTP traffic, how is it going to tell me whether it's the Roku or whatever running in the background that I don't know about?
I'm not sure. I don't know. It depends. I don't know how your router might or might not do it.
Let's see what the router says.
So did you guys hear about that Google Talk bug that they had this past week?
Yeah, I saw that.
Pardon me?
A bug?
Oh, yeah.
Google?
So you have the old, Google Talk deal where you can make phone calls from Gmail and so forth. And then they have the newer one that they're trying to drive everybody to Hangouts. And right now you can use one or the other. I'm sure at one point you'll have to switch. But on the old one, the original one, if you sent a message to somebody, it went to somebody else. So I think they fixed it now, but that could have provided some interesting situations.
Mike, do you want to hear something interesting?
No.
Can't even sign into my services on Time Warner.
Why not?
Sign in. It says we are signing you in. Please wait. This webpage is not available.
Interesting.
Not a
and what's
surprise.
also interesting is that every time I log in, it asks me if I want to go paperless, and I always click yes, and it never works.
Yeah. Piece of junk.
Now, this thing says that, and I haven't looked into this, but Time Warner apparently has a bunch of Wi-Fi hotspots.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which I think may be free if you're a Time Warner customer. Oh, here we go. Download free Wi-Fi Finder app. Already a customer. Yes. Exclusive apps to Wi-Fi Finder. This must be a phone thing. Now, I will tell you, this iOS 7 update, if you haven't done it on your phone yet, you might want to play with somebody's phone who has done it before you do it.
Why is that?
You may not be happy.
Well, my wife is preparing to update her iPhone to iOS 7. Can I have her call you for any tech support?
No, sir, you may not. I do not provide any Apple support.
Because I've been on my Android phone so long, I've just almost forgotten that world.
Make sure she does a full sync for, because my mother's phone and iPad both got completely wiped out when she updated.
I thought mine had completely wiped out, but I went back and saw that what it had done is created a blank page. I had my icons when I scrolled the screen to the right to look at the additional pages of icons. Page 2 was blank, and I thought it had wiped out all of my apps. But then somebody suggested, do it again. I did it again, and then the additional apps were on subsequent pages.
Yeah, Time Warner's having issues right now. Time Warner Time Warner TV doesn't even work.
I just for the heck of it went to see if anybody is live on Bamboozer, but they are. So it's certain areas, I guess, that are out, but Bamboozer itself is not down. They're
Very
actually
slow though.
They actually
we did that
have
while you were switching.
the what?
We did that while you were switching to see if we could find any live, and we did see some live ones.
Yeah, from the States too.
Well, it must be an Amnon problem.
Must be an Amnon problem. But the thing is now I can't even find, since they redid their website, I can't even find the XML file to see if the code changed. I have no idea where it is.
Well, we can do that after the show.
They normally do. You normally just get it and forget it, and it's right on the front page. But I cannot see anywhere at this point
This is a joke.
where the FMLE XML file is. And
How can I be downloading 10 gigabytes a day?
How many devices? You have a lot of devices.
I don't. Like what?
How many computers do you have?
2,700? Why?
How many are connected to the internet?
2,699.
Okay. How often do you turn those computers on?
I only use 2 or 3 regularly.
Okay, so every single time you turn those on, they're checking for Windows updates, or they're downloading stuff from Microsoft. That's
10 gigabytes per day. I was out of town for 3 or 4 of those days.
Mike, you're on Google Plus Hangouts all day. That uses
They don't
bandwidth.
burn up that much bandwidth.
How do you think HD video happens?
I don't believe it burns up that much. How much? Well, you can't get to yours. It will be interesting to see how much you get.
if you're on Google Hangout, you are using a lot of bandwidth doing nothing. Even if you don't do it, if you just connect it. It's
So
unbelievable.
you think my contributions are nothing? Is that what you're saying?
I need to. What can I play for him?
Why?
Okay, Amnon, I'm
Anyway.
researching the issue you were talking about, and
Yeah.
I find it interesting that on my Bamboozer dashboard,
Yeah.
where it used to say, want to broadcast using Flash Media, Live
Right.
Encoder, Wirecast, or VidBlaster, and then there was a link where you could click to...
Correct. Where is
get
it?
that
I can't
code.
even find
But
that.
now the link in that sentence says, want to broadcast using Flash Media, Live Encoder, Wirecast, or VidBlaster? Get
premium. Oh.
Oh, is Bamboozer no longer free?
I'm wondering.
You think? They
I
would
don't
do
know.
it just like that without notifying? I see. Yeah.
Yes, sirree. Starter kit starting at $124 a month. One account.
Very interesting.
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh, well.
Well, I shall be a pure YouTube live shop, should that be the case.
Very, very interesting.
Now, I'm assuming that's the issue. I mean, I'm still hunting.
That's something new.
Be right back.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I mean, there's absolutely no excuse whatsoever. If indeed they made that change and did not notify people who have been using them for now over 2 years, who have hundreds of broadcasts on their servers, to not notify them at all.
But they're a free CDN. You can't expect
Right,
that.
yeah.
I don't care if they're free or not.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
should
but
have at least.
Yeah, but the argument always is free CDNs don't owe you jack squat. So, I mean,
Well, you know what they've earned from me now? Jack Squat post about their it's not about the fact that they did this. It's about the fact that they didn't notify. Because I'm ready to go live on a show last night, and I'm hosed.
yeah, no,
And I should have known that ahead of time.
Yeah.
I agree
No
with you 100%.
excuse whatsoever. None.
No, there is no excuse. But the argument is always live CDN, or you're not paying for a CDN. So when they decide, all right, either A, we're going to close the door, or B, you have to pay to use our service, they don't feel entitled to have to tell you.
Well,
That's what that mentality is. And no, it's stupid. It makes absolutely no sense. That is not how
YouTube will let you know when they're going to have they're going to be down for maintenance or something like that.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess we're going to have to change the way we do. See, right now it's really convenient because you stream through Bamboozer, they record it, they store it, and
Yeah, they probably can't afford to do it.
well, then it's fine. Then they should say something. I mean, really, $99 a month. That's not that's not bad.
No, but it's a lot for a CDN like
Absolutely,
Bamboozer.
yeah.
Let me see. They have live support. I'm gonna try to contact them.
But
See if they so.
yeah, for them not to let you know that this is the situation. I mean, they send all this newsletter with John. This is good for you to watch, and that is good for you to watch, and this is what our chairman did on his vacation and stuff. So you can send something out and say, as of. That's very interesting because Wednesday it worked fine.
So, Mike, I did end up getting signed into my Time Warner account.
And
So what are we looking at?
click on My Internet
Yeah. Okay. What month are we looking at?
to this month, September.
Okay, I've used 411 gigabytes,
Okay, I feel better.
and on my peak day I used 27. On my minimum day, which was actually September 23rd, I used 6.
All right, I just don't believe that's accurate. I just don't
No,
believe it.
and on September 1st I used 38 gigs.
I don't believe it.
I don't know what was I doing on September 1st.
Figure out how much.
Oh, I know what September 1st was. That's when I deleted my whole website.
Well, that doesn't take a lot of bandwidth to delete your website.
Well, it does. I downloaded the whole FTP. I downloaded everything from FTP.
All right, you can run the numbers. Figure out if you were able to download at 20 megabits per second,
Okay.
and figure out how many gigabytes.
38, I think it was.
Figure out how long it would take to download 38 gigabytes at even 20 megabits per second.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Hey,
something.
you got to remember, this is upload and download.
I understand.
So
Andrew said he uses 400 meg. Okay, Andrew's drinking already.
no, Andrew
see.
uses about 30K a month to do his
Oh, yeah.
broadcasts.
He's on dial-up, right?
Yeah. Well, Sean did the math.
Oh, well.
And he's using about 30K a month.
Oh, well.
It's live stream.
30K gigabytes, maybe. Let's see. Gene says, in 50 years of experience, I've noticed that they all go through 3 stages. Stage 1 is no or little use. Stage 2 is misuse. And finally, when everybody gets it, stage 3, misuse. Internet is in stage 3.
You know, quickly, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but back to this bamboozer thing. I have helped set up several churches to use bamboozer for driving their CDN, and their tech teams are going and are ready to live stream their worship service this morning,
and they're not
going
hosed.
to
It's true. No, I mean it's not. These guys are not thinking.
Well, no, but again, I said it once, and I don't agree with it. But
now
they
tell
are
me
a free
now.
CDN.
Now I understand what you're saying, Nick, and I agree with you. It's free CDN, so what do you expect? But think about it this way. Think about it this way.
What does courtesy cost?
There's no
How
courtesy.
much does courtesy cost?
How much what?
How much does courtesy cost?
Nothing.
There's no courtesy.
But not only this, I'm talking about from business point of view. How many people at this point who have been doing this and finding out, like we find out right now, that such thing happened, are going to go and say, okay, yeah, we'll give you our money.
Well, Jeff has posted that from the site. It says the bamboozer service is offered for free to charity organizations as well as end users that are using the service for personal use. For any other use case, bamboozer offers a variety of premium services.
It always was like that.
Yeah, that's nothing new.
No, that's nothing new.
Right. Maybe that language is left there by the same guy who didn't send out the email saying that they're going to charge now.
Or maybe they're just having a site issue.
Yeah, maybe nothing has changed.
I don't know.
And my channel is totally not for profit, nothing but church worship services.
Right.
You know, and
no, I mean it's definitely something for them to think about and to say, yeah, that's not the way we should do business. But that's not the way they're looking at it.
We will know more next week on the show.
I think it could be something as simple as they realized, wow, we really can't afford to do this, and the only way to get people to stop doing it is just make it premium. They don't care if you don't come over; they just cannot afford to store your files.
Andrew, if you'd get up early and listen, you would know instead of sitting there asking us questions. We were 20 minutes late getting on the air because we could not connect to Bamboozer. There's something fishy going on. Either they've started charging, or there's a problem with the account, or there is a routing issue between us and them, or they have changed changed the interface with regard to the streaming mechanism. Something has changed because Amnon was unable to connect to Bamboozer.
I still cannot. I mean,
cannot.
FMLE is running, trying to stream there, and I mean, I'm using it to record because I didn't set up any other facility to do it, and I'm seeing it encoding to file and attempting to reconnect to primary.
Well, evidently, and I'm just kind of thinking this thing through. You know, if you go to your dashboard in Bamboozer, you can go live with your webcam and bring up their little flash thing, whatever. But evidently, either the RTMP thing has changed and is no longer recognized, or on their end, they can tell if you're sending a pre-encoded stream using Wirecast, XSplit, or VidBlaster to them.
Of course they can, yeah.
What do you say? Of course, how?
They're giving you the RTMP to use with programs like Wirecast and XSplit. When you're using their web browser, you're not. It's technically not RTMP because you're on their servers already. It's going through the intranet.
So does that bring you in on a different port or something? I mean,
I would assume it's a completely different protocol because technically you're streaming your webcam from their servers because you're on their website doing it. That's what I would assume. It doesn't even go onto the internet.
All
'Cause you're
right,
already
let's
connected
stop
with
talking
her.
about Bamboozer.
Well, Uber
No.
Geek says that's why I'm cautious in staying at Vaughn for now. You might want to rethink that one a little bit, Uber Geek.
I don't. I think
Who's
that's
saying
why
that?
live CDNs in general are. I mean,
Uber Geek. If it's free, there are no guarantees. Even with paid services, there are no guarantees. But
No.
the free ones, you're really at risk.
I mean, yeah, no, you're 100%. You're 100% accurate with that. And like you said, even a paid service, you could pay $20 a month for a CDN. They could go, sorry, we just can't afford it. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, let's lighten up a little bit.
how are you doing, Amnon?
Do you
I am
feel
not.
like a heel if you don't want to fix computer problems for friends and family? Here are
Oh,
some of the
boy, is
reasons
that
you
a-
shouldn't feel guilty.
Uh-oh.
What, Mike? Why are you shaking your
Nothing.
head?
Go ahead. We'll talk about it.
Okay, Bamboozer has just replied to me at my tweet. They say, we did in our latest newsletter. We're sorry you didn't see that.
Oh, do you know how many newsletters I get a
it
week
doesn't
from
matter.
them? Wait.
Doesn't matter.
I get for each channel I get a newsletter. I haven't gotten a newsletter from Bamboozer in probably 2 weeks.
You may have them blocked.
Can somebody, Bruce, if you have the last newsletter, would you mind forwarding it to me?
Well, I don't know that I've gotten it. If it may be going to spam. I mean, I'll do a search to see what I can find. And
That's kind of weird that you get him, and then suddenly it stops. I mean,
what is it that we missed?
the announcement?
What is the final official announcement? Because we've got these terms of services that Jeff found, which apparently have not been updated on the website. I mean,
know.
they said they chastised Bruce for missing the announcement. So, what was the announcement? What is the official problem with Bamboozer?
I guess we have to look at the last newsletter.
Well, you know what? As long as we have Vaughn, as long as we have Daily Motion, you know what? Ain't the end of the world.
No, Andrew. I mean, obviously they did change their policy.
If all else fails, you'll just have to stream through GFQ.
Yeah.
Let Andrew pay for it.
Anyway, so why you shouldn't fix PCs, repair PCs for free? The number one, future problems are your fault. So if you go and
I don't care what the person who has the computer says. That's true. They think it's your fault.
go ahead and fix it for somebody in the family, and if something else goes wrong, hey, Amnon, what did you do to my machine?
It was working perfectly until I gave it to you to repair.
Exactly. Number two is people may not respect your time.
You think?
Do you think? Number three is things sometimes go wrong. Sure.
Wow. I've heard that one.
People don't value things that are free.
Well, let's think about that. Do they or don't they? No, they don't. You're right. They do. Some people do. I mean, some people do.
They expect free tech support for life after you do that.
Well, that's a fact.
People adopt risky habits because they are getting free tech support. Bruce, do you need to go and change some things on some of the churches, or is that not?
No, I
something
mean,
you can do?
there's a lot of people that are going to be logging in. You know, I can't even find a copy of a Bamboozer newsletter searching the internet on Google, and I'm wondering if this has anything to do with Associated Press buying a minority stake in Bamboozer back in June.
No, that's
Did
not
they
what I'm
really?
talking about. I'm talking about. I mean, can you straighten out some of the churches
gonna
that
do
you
it?
set up?
No.
I don't know. TeamViewer,
And you know
go
what?
in.
The reason I can't is because of what we talked about in the beginning of the show. A lot of these guys do not have any kind of redundant backup ready to go.
Yep.
Which,
Yep.
you know,
Okay.
Record locally, stream it, put it on YouTube later.
Okay, they've replied to me again, to my reply that I've never gotten a newsletter. They said our newsletter is sent to the email address registered at the sign-up.
Ask them to send you the newsletter now.
Tell them we're talking about them on the air, and none of us has the newsletter, so they must have a glitch in their system. They must be doing it wrong. User error. And that a bunch of churches are going to have a real problem once they log in about the next 45 minutes to try to stream their morning services.
I need to take that banner that says that broadcasts are made possible thanks to Bambuser.
No, I would leave it alone for now. I'll wait until after the show.
You could have some little neophyte there who has no clue what's going on, or you may be dealing with the CEO. They've always been extremely responsive to Amnon. I mean, they've been great.
I didn't have to deal with them much. The only time I dealt with them is when they were saying, "Pay up."
No, well, the only time you dealt with them, the first time you dealt with them, when you contacted them asking them if you could pay them.
That's right, and they say no.
And they said, "No, it's good." Well, they heard you. Now they've changed their mind.
Well, they're replying to me as quickly as anything. I wish I had more than 140 characters to explain in more detail the situation.
Oh, so this is a Twitter?
You're doing Twitter?
Yeah.
And do you see the traffic on the Twitter on their account?
That's a good point. It'd be interesting to see if let's do a search column on is it Bambuser? Is there
at Bambuser?
Okay, and so if we do a search for Bambuser, let's see if they're getting hammered. Revolution with that no. Bruce Turner, Bambuser still works for their own broadcaster without a premium subscription. You know.
I just told
It's kind of arrogant, isn't it?
Well, I put in our link. I told them we're talking about this live.
Can't get to you. Wait a minute, that's all.
Have them call in.
Yeah. 919-518-9773. 919-518-9773. Or Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Interesting. But nobody seems to be complaining yet.
I wonder when it started.
I don't know.
Like I'm saying, Wednesday night, it was working. With Julie, everything was working fine.
Well, I mean, Sunday morning would be the time to make the change if you don't think about how many people are using it for religious services. Isn't this a foreign organization?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe the devil got into them.
Yeah, they're in Europe.
Yeah. I see not one complaint here. 33 minutes ago. But if they're using the Bambuser broadcasting client, then apparently there are no issues.
Yeah, because you are right on their website.
So, but now let me ask you a question: Can you port a virtual video device like a Wirecaster or VidBlaster VVD into that online web streamer?
Yeah, you may be able to, but you don't want to do that.
I don't know, but that's not
Well,
something.
why not? Why wouldn't you want to do that?
I would rather go with a CDN that wants us to stream there.
Yeah.
Well, they do want you to stream it. They just, Mike, think about what Bambuser is giving you. They are archiving every single one of your shows.
Nick,
how can you afford to do that?
Nick, this is their business model, not ours.
No, but
we're not objecting to the business model. We're objecting to the change with no notice.
Just like you, Nick. This is why I sent him an email and I said, look, guys, you are archiving all these shows. Let me pay something for the archiving. He said, no, we will never charge for that.
Oh, well.
Because, anyway, I do feel like it's a service worth paying for when they archive it like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I
now
agree.
that they lower the boom
Ooh.
like that leaves a bad taste in my mouth about Bamboozer. You know how it is? You can do good all your life, and nobody will ever remember it. You screw up once, and they'll never forget it.
I doubt they're going to call in Bruce. They want to know Bruce's email address. They want to take this not public.
Of course.
Why do they care?
It's just like Time Warner. They don't want
They
it public.
don't care.
Time Warner does all their stuff public.
I know. But
No,
they
you start complaining, and they ask you for the email so they can
DM.
take it.
Oh, they want you to follow them so they can DM you.
Because I remember when I had a problem, that's what he wanted to do. He said, do you mind if we take it privately? I mean, he asked.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I was having my debate with Korig, the coffee, the non-coffee pot maker.
I'm following them.
And they said, "Oh, yes, we want to help you with your problem. Please follow us so that we can deal with you and help you resolve your issue." And I followed them, and they sent me this stock response. "Oh, yes, we'll be able to sell you if it's out of warranty. We'll sell you a replacement, a refurbished model of that model." And it was more expensive than I could buy a new one for at Bed Bath & Beyond with a 20% off coupon.
Do you still have a Keurig?
It's out in the storage room in a box, yeah.
Oh.
Never again. Never purchase another one. Not a chance. It is a cheap piece of Chinese junk.
No, as is everything else.
Well, but it's not an inexpensive, cheap Chinese piece of junk. $100 for a coffee pot's ridiculous.
It's a nice coffee pot.
Well, you want mine?
Does it work?
No?
Yeah.
They say
I'll take-
there are posts on the internet that if you take a rubber mallet and hit it on the bottom, turn it upside down, hit it on the bottom, it'll start working in some cases.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, send it. I'll tinker with it.
All right. So,
Well, it's been a nice ride while it lasted.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
But did we not? I mean, I don't. Okay, I'll confess to some measure of naivete on my part. But I've recommended no CDN for the last 2 years except Bamboozer, and again, my issue is not their decision, but the lack of communication about their decision that left people high and dry, like us this morning. That's my issue.
Right. That's the problem. But
And
that's
so,
good enough to wipe all the good that they did all this time.
Right. And and I want to say, Bamboozer, I've loved your service, enjoyed your service. I cannot tell you, it means a great deal that somebody is responding. So if anybody is, if you have clicked on the link and are listening to this show, and hopefully maybe there's other people that have come to Computers 2K now, but if you're listening, Bamboozer, I do appreciate your immediate reply back and forth on Twitter. That means a lot. But I have searched my Gmail trash. I have searched my Gmail spam, and I cannot find anything except recommendations for new channels or notifications that somebody I follow has started a broadcast.
Right. Same thing here.
You
Right.
must be doing something wrong.
It's interesting.
All right, let's get back to fixing computers.
Okay. All right. I found it.
Wait, you found the newsletter?
I found it.
All right, hit us.
Yeah.
Okay. This is under a paragraph called Broadcast Restrictions.
When is the newsletter from?
September, the newsletter, the email date on the email was September 25th, 4 days ago.
Okay.
And it says, starting September 27th, we will restrict broadcasting via standalone RTMP broadcasting applications. Our flash-based web broadcaster will still be available for everyone using standalone broadcasting applications for RTMP streaming will be available only for premium users. As a part of our pledge to support freedom of speech around the globe, we continue to grant selected citizen journalists a complimentary upgrade to our premium services. To apply, please send an email to support@bamboozer.com describing your use case and why you'd like to be considered for an upgrade. So I did get this email, and you know, like a lot of people do with some of this stuff, you know, they put it to trash. It's certainly not in spam. It's in my trash folder, so I deleted it and did not read it. So I was warned and did not read.
So when you look at that email to begin with, the header of it, you don't see anything about it. It's just the normal. Here is some
buried in the normal newsletter, or is there any sort of
the
flag?
header is new partnership announced, updated features and policies.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
and I would have gotten like one a day. I would get one a day because of the different shows.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh well, yeah. But Bruce, what you should do right now is maybe try to talk to that person and tell him, well, there are some churches that are starting now, and they don't know. It may be my fault that I didn't read this, but is there something we can do quick, and then we can do the rest later? So maybe all these services will still get.
You know, I just had a thought. This actually is going to be an interesting circumstance. How do I say this delicately?
Uh-oh.
If you are, and let me see if I state what has happened correctly, Bruce and Amnon and Nick, you tell me. What they're saying is that if you want to broadcast from their website using their web flash streaming client, that you're still good to go, so that the average person out there streaming from a webcam is still good to go. They're not going to see a problem.
Okay.
However, if you're using a software like Wirecast or VidBlast or one of those clients, that or Flash Media Live Encoder, if you're using one of these higher technology streaming devices, they have now blocked you unless you have a premium account.
Okay.
I'm now wondering, trying to say this delicately, and I don't want it to sound like it's going to sound, but does that mean the quality of the content on Bamboozer as a whole just went through the floor?
Yes.
Did they just get rid of all their premium broadcasters? Not saying that we are, but did they just get rid of all of their premium broadcasting content?
Yeah, but I mean, that's the model, though. People look at the look at Stickan. That site was primarily people on webcams, right? I mean, that was their thing. No, not always. That was okay. Say what you want, but people going on the website, clicking the broadcast live button and streaming that first of all gets a lot more viewers and is a lot less taxing on Bamboozer, because from their web thing they can control the bit rate, they can control the quality, they can control all this stuff. So yes, I think they do, and they probably or most likely did that for business reasons.
Let me tell you something, Mike. When you think about it with a clear head, that may be the way that they come above everybody else.
May work, maybe the best thing they ever did. I don't know.
For $99, you get ad-free.
A month.
Yeah, a month.
Right.
You get ad-free. Right. That's how much does that cost with Ustream?
Oh, $500.
I mean, but that's not $99. Yeah, $99 a month is outrageous, though.
Well, is it though?
Yes, because there's restrictions on it. It's not $99 a month unlimited.
Right. Well, no, it's 250 viewing hours. At that point, what would need to be done is you don't store the files there.
Well, let me ask this. You said 250 viewing hours. Would they go back and tell you what our average number of viewing hours is per week on this show?
Well, they're saying that they're going to give you enhanced statistics. Right now, they don't give you any statistics other than those numbers that we don't know whether they're right or wrong.
And if you go to Bamboo's and you look at recent shows, every time I go to the page, Computers 2K Now is one of the most listened to shows on the front page.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
worldwide.
But Amnon, you wouldn't be able to use that starter account.
That's what?
The $99 one?
You wouldn't be able to use that $99 account.
Why?
250 viewing hours. How many shows do you do a week?
I know. That's what I'm thinking, that you're going to have to definitely. I have no idea what. Yeah, that's true though. Never mind.
I mean, look,
There's
this
3
show.
hours here.
Let's say this show gets
times,
40 viewers every single week for 3 hours.
True.
I mean, no way.
True.
So, well, run the number. So if you had 40 viewers times 3 hours, using averages, that's 120 viewer hours per week times 4 is 480.
For one show.
One show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd have to go with the 15,000 viewer hours, which is almost $8,000 a year.
Yeah. Nah. Will never happen.
No, I mean you can.
No, I just need to sit down and think and see how to make it so.
You're already storing your video files for Roku, so I don't see why you couldn't embed those just on your website.
Well, we will solve this. I mean, the ultimate solution here. I mean, there's.
It's just.
I mean, Amnon is an ISP, and he has bandwidth. If worse comes to worse, you'll click on 1 week, you'll click on Computers 2K Now, everything will look normal, and it'll be coming from Nissan Communications' own server farm instead of from any other CDN.
We already tried that, and that eats a lot of bandwidth.
It does, but it's that. If it's that or nothing.
No. I mean, as long as you have the Vaughns and the Daily Motions and Justin,
there will always be free CDNs.
Yes.
I mean,
are you sure?
I am 100% positive. Yes.
Why? How can you be so sure?
You might get an ad every 5 seconds, but there will always be free CDNs.
Well, it's not free then. I see what you're saying.
No, I mean, no, it's free.
Hey, Mike, I forwarded the email to an email address I had for you that begins with the first 2 letters PA. So you might want to check it.
Okay.
Can you forward it to me as well, Bruce?
Yeah. What would that be?
Nick at RaiderGaming.net is fine.
Okay.
I got it, Bruce.
Yeah, I need to work this afternoon on Carrie's show to make sure that it runs fine tonight. The thing is that, you don't expect it, and here we're starting the show, and, well.
Did you say .com, Nick?
.net.
.net.
Okay.
Yeah, like you're going to read this to let you know, hey, guess what? We just put you out of business.
Thanks, Bruce.
Well,
New
they're not putting you out of business,
updated
but
features and policies. Must be a bunch of kids running this thing.
It probably has something to do with this Associated Press.
What are you saying about kids, Mike?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. Get over
Mike's
it.
making fun of me. Kick him off, Amnon. Actually, kick me off. I'm the kid.
Well, the good news is now it's okay for you to watch the show because, anyway, that's Vaughn. Never mind.
Well, and again, maybe we can kind of wrap this up unless somebody from Bamboozler wants to call into the show. Computers 2K Voice on Skype.
They're not at that. I don't think they're at that level that they can represent the company.
And one thing that I was going to say earlier that I use, if you go to MikePhillips.me, MikePhillips.me, they'd say really a redirect to a service that I use called Scoop It, which is scoop.it. It's a collection of blog articles and other sorts of things that I've put there to help people learn about podcasting, internet broadcasting, audio equipment, and other little helpful things. I've got over almost 15,000 views on that page. I continuously get emails from Scoop It wanting me to sign up for their premium service, and I keep wanting to write them back and say, actually, you need to pay me for bringing people to your website. You got it backwards. I'm bringing you traffic. I can get web space anywhere. Mm. But I haven't done it yet.
Well, I did apologize to them on Twitter for having received the email, deleted it to trash, and missing the notifications. So, but
they could have sent something and say it's coming up. I mean, it's not like they.
I don't agree with the hiding it in a newsletter thing because those newsletters are spam. I mean, who the hell reads newsletters?
Yeah.
that was their way of like, all right, we're gonna kind of let people know, but not really. I mean, that's a very shady way of doing it. Yeah, they let you know, but they didn't have the courage to come out on Twitter or send a separate email to every user, or even put it on their website. Well, I didn't. If you go to their website, how would you tell from their website that they changed it? There should be a huge pop-up.
I used to have a hosting company. It was a guy operating out of his home up in Ohio. Whenever he started, he got extraordinarily good reviews at webhostingtalk.com. This guy could do no wrong. Just terrific. The pricing was fair. Everything was fine. The longer he operated that company, the worse he became. He got to where you could dial, if you dialed the phone number on his webpage, it immediately went to voicemail, or the voicemail was full. If there was an issue, you wouldn't get a response to him. Absolutely went into hiding. He finally sort of cleaned up his act a little bit. At one point, for some reason, either he called me, I called him. I was asking him, trying to be nice to him. I was saying, how do you deal with all these issues when they blow up all these complaints? I mean, doesn't it get under your skin? And he said something to me that I've never forgotten that I thought was very telling. He said, I'm immune to it. And I think that's what happens when you deal with so many people.
Question.
What?
No,
look at this. I'm on Bamboozer's site, and it shows the Computers 2K Now. It says live down here.
Wait a second. It just went live. It's not saying that it's trying to connect, but there's nothing there, is there?
I'm going here to see.
Didn't it tweet?
Yep, it's showing my what I'm streaming to you right now. It is live.
Yeah, I don't see that notice about attempting to.
Well, did we get some real-time support? Maybe.
No.
I don't know. Ask him. Ask them. I mean, we don't care, but ask.
I don't think they would have made a big business change because somebody said something.
No, I don't think either, but they could have accommodated for this particular...
Ask him. I don't care if, it doesn't matter if they say, oh, no, a mistake, we'll disconnect it. It's fine. But ask. Since you're talking to them, it'll be interesting.
Now, this is interesting. Broadcast started 2 minutes ago via webcam.
Yeah, because it's... Well, it always says that.
I see Adobe Flash Media Encoder on there.
Yeah, it always says that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, I mean, a lot of people who, like me, found this surprising. Will have to reconsider and decide what they're going to do for the rest of the moving forward.
But I have a question about that, though, Bruce, for those who are, at least if anybody's still interested in this. It would seem to me that the church people should be able to get an exemption as nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that Bruce should call and find out.
But if they've just wholesale blocked all RTMP streams that have not already contacted them, then that's an issue.
Well, for instance, a church that I work with in Florida, they're going to be streaming this morning, and they use multiple cameras. They use XSplit just like I do, and I'm using right now. I was able to switch to that view. They're going to launch out, and I'm sure. I mean, a lot of guys in churches, they're busy. They get all kinds of not only snail mail but email and phone calls from solicitors and so forth, and they're going to have missed this. And I don't know if Bamboozer would have it in their model for some kind of special thing for churches. If they did,
well, they did say that nonprofits and are exempt.
Not if you go to their website and read the statement that's at the top.
Yeah, because the second paragraph of the newsletter says, as part of our pledge to support freedom of speech around the globe, we continue to grant selected citizen journalists a complimentary upgrade to our premium services. To apply, send them an email. And the terms of service that Jeff posted earlier, though, seem to be in conflict with what that newsletter says, which I think they just have not updated their website yet. That would be my understanding, says, because what Jeff posted was the Bamboozer service is offered for free to charity organizations as well as end users that are using the service for personal use.
Yeah.
For any other use case, Bamboozer offers a variety of premium services. So the Bamboozer service, free to charity organizations, does that or does not include religious organizations? I don't know. I mean, churches certainly do a lot of charity. They don't.
Right. Well, CGT Church, if you're listening, Bamboozer, is one of the churches I set up with your service. And their last broadcast was 7 days ago. And so when they fire up this morning, they're going to be surprised. I will email Jerry Lawrence, the pastor, and apprise him of the potential problem. But CGT Church is their channel on Bamboozer.
That's very interesting that they that it started.
Well, you know what? It sort of backs up the original discussion that Bamboozer has been an extraordinarily responsive company. They have been, our buddies in the broadcasting industry, but for Bruce and us, I think they have all switched away from Bamboozer. And for whatever reason, and we've stuck with them because they have been so responsive. So at this point in time, what they've done, they have the right to do. More power to them. If that's what they have to do to stay afloat, I get it. I think our only gripe this morning is the way in which they notified us and the short notice. Even if we had gotten and seen that email and that newsletter 4 days ago, I don't think that's enough time for Bruce to contact all of his people he has consulted with for free to get them switched over to set up as on a new CDN, or alternatively, to even submit a request for a free premium account. I just don't think that's enough notice.
Agreed.
What if you'd been on the road?
Yeah.
True. They still sent you a notice.
Well, get them back.
So something interesting. I've been using Reddit a lot for just kind of like advertising stuff, and it's actually worked out pretty well so far. It's interesting.
What does that mean? I don't even know what you just said.
So the site reddit.com, it's full of these things called subreddits. It's these forums dedicated to certain topics, and I've been I've been hanging out. There's a bunch of web design ones and a bunch of job subreddits for internet jobs and stuff. And I've had some pretty good feedback from them, and it's interesting because I'd never thought of a site like Reddit, which people normally think of as just a site for pictures of cats and stuff like that, to have some kind of employment side of it, and it's been pretty interesting so far.
But have you gotten any useful responses out of it?
I've gone back and forth on email with a few people after seeing their posts and PMing them my email address. I've gotten a few responses. So yeah.
All right, and in that connection, I have a question for you.
Alrighty, I'm ready.
How is it that Reddit and Craigslist are two of the worst designed websites in the world, and they're two of the most popular websites in the world?
The reason that Reddit works is because it's simple. That is why it works. It is quick loading. It is not styled good. That is the whole point. It is text.
Then everybody should be copying that if that's the successful business model.
Well, the reason that it's successful is because imagine if every single page had a huge CSS file attached to it.
That,
all these
that's
pictures.
Missing the point. Then what you're a web designer at CraigDigitalDesigns.com. You provide nice looking websites, a lot of graphics there. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe everything should be all text based.
I think the reason that the reason for a site like this, which has got, I can even probably over 1 million subreddits. If each one had a huge styled CSS, the site would be extremely slow. Now, if you're doing a simple WordPress website with 6 pages, you can clearly you should be able, depending on who your host is, to be able to store those graphics. But something like this, and something like Craigslist, their servers would be taxed so much more, and they'd have to have so many more servers if every single time somebody went there, you had to
tell Google that.
Well, look at the Google search engine. There's no styling on that. It's text.
I understand, but look at the server farms. I mean,
I for what Reddit does and how it's laid out, it works perfectly, and Craigslist is the same way.
Okay, let me. I just got an email.
Okay.
From Hans Eriksson.
Oh,
and,
who's that?
From Bamboozer.
He's the.
Okay.
And I tell you what, I will just say, and because this email is addressed to me, I don't feel comfortable in reading it, but I would just say that I appreciate his response. I understand his response. I appreciate his response, and they had some legitimate reasons to make this change. And but I will not share this as personal to me on the air, on the show, but except to say I appreciate it and understand it. And
good enough.
It speaks extremely well to what we've already experienced, like Mike was commenting before about customer service. And they perhaps could have provided a little more notice, but maybe based on the situation, they didn't have the element of time on their side. So, so I appreciate it.
Did he mention anything about churches?
No, and and I, it wouldn't really not be fair for me to comment because no,
it's fine. I'm just
right, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
I would take advantage of this and ask. So what happens to church?
I will email because there, I don't know. It may be possible, it may not be possible, but yeah, I will certainly inquire about church broadcasting, because most of the churches that I've consulted with are small churches. Large churches can, they're doing, major stuff with Limelight and, other major broadcasting entities. But most of the churches that I've consulted with are churches that are going to average, 100 to 200, 250 in a morning worship service, and are wanting to provide a service that, shut-ins can use, that people who are traveling can use, and a way to outreach into their community that for people who might not otherwise be able to come. So, but I'll try to frame that and see how that might work. But yeah, because it's been really great. I was looking at my particular channel. I have 166 broadcasts. I've had 6,813 views, and I stream nothing but church related content, church services, and so forth. So, and I've enjoyed helping other people. So, so thank you, Hans, or Bamboos, or anybody that's maybe listening. Appreciate the response.
All right. Now, on to fixing computers. Gene has a question. He says that, has anyone figured out how to stop the annoying malware threat, PUP, optional, MI, something, so it can never get on your system? Malware bites, finds, and removes it, but I would like to block it once and for all. Well, I'll take the first run at it and tell you that if it keeps coming back, either one of two things or several things has happened. One is Malwarebytes is really not getting rid of it. It may be a rootkit that it does not know how to get rid of yet. And second, what I would suggest is that you try a tool other than that, and one that I really like until last night. One that I really like is called Hitman Pro. There is a 30-day trial. It works extremely well unless your computer has been configured to join a domain. If it has been configured to join a domain, it will not allow you to run itself for free, even for 30 days, even if you create an account that does not join the domain, because I tried that. But it will get rid of a lot of stuff. There are about 4 or 5 other extremely good programs that you can run to get rid of it. And the place to look for that, which I will be doing today because I'm wondering if I have a similar problem on a computer that I'm working on for a friend for free, that the website is bleepingcomputer.com, an extraordinarily excellent website, bleepingcomputer.com. They have a list of the most popular downloaded malware programs over on the left-hand side of one of theirs, and they're all most of them are free for consumer use. As far as I know, they are all free. Having said that, the most popular tool that they have is a program called Combo Fix. It gets rave reviews. It does an extremely good job. Be very careful. I would not run it unless you've got a backup.
Yeah, there is no way to block it once and for all.
And that was the answer to the question that I skipped. And the way, if it keeps coming back, you're clicking on something, unless there's a rootkit or something there that you have not eliminated. And one of the things that I've also noticed with malware is that it will get into your browsers as a what's called a BHO, or a browser. What is a browser hijack object? BHO, something. That is really not malware, but it looks like it. Although some of them can cause you to go to the website and download it again. I think the issue, my guess is that you have not gotten rid of all of it. And I mean, Andrew and Eric are saying reformat and reinstall. Well, that's all fine and dandy if you've got a week to do it and don't mind losing stuff, because it always happens. I'm not a big fan of reformat and install. I'm a big fan of finding the problem and fixing it, because reformatting and installing is not always the option. I don't know how many times I have done a reformat and install only to find out that, well, in one case, I had a program that the updates were no longer available for it. Yeah, it was an old program, but it was mine. I paid for it. I used it. I liked it. It did what I wanted it to do, and I didn't want to have to stop using it because I did a reformat and a reinstall. But if you want to reformat and reinstall, it is definitely the fastest way to solve the problem. However, that also, when you do a reformat and reinstall, it also assumes that you rewrite the boot sector on the hard drive, because some of this crap can hide in the
boot sector.
Yeah, it's boot sector. What else is it called? The master boot record. Or you could get a Mac.
No.
They never get viruses. In fact, they don't even require software.
Right. No, never.
Yeah, the software just runs by itself.
It just runs.
Fact.
So, back to fixing computers.
Alan just hit the nail on the head, too. By golly, Alan, you hit it right. He said, or doing all of that and finding out it's a hardware failure. Been there, done that, working on one right now that I'm suspecting a hardware issue. Speaking of which, I'll ask you guys, I loaded a program called Specky on this computer to find out what's happening is as the computer works, it's slowing down. It drags tremendously. It's acting like the CPU is overheating. The CPU heatsink is so hot you can't touch it. I'm monitoring the temperature on it. I redid the thermal paste on it. It is so hot. Again, you absolutely have to wait for it to cool down to touch it. And but after doing all that, I ran this Specky program on there to monitor the temperatures. The CPU temperature is getting up to about 70 degrees C. After all this time, I don't know if that's way too high. It's still showing as green and okay in Specky, but 70 degrees C, I don't know if that's too hot. I don't know at what point it is doing that. And Eric says, and which I was working on to load up a live CD. Oh, no, that wasn't what I was suggesting. What I was going to do is boot into this CD that our buddy Brian suggested to us. And when I tried to load this mini Win XP from the DVD, I get a blue screen, or CD, I get a blue screen of death. It works on some computers, not on others. What I was going to do is boot to a live CD to see if it still slowed down, meaning that it was a hardware problem and not that hard drive and not that CPU. But the question I was going to ask is, if you were to look at the CPU fan speed on your computer, what RPM is it reporting in normal use? This CPU fan is working at 500 RPM. That seems really, really low for a small form factor computer to me. I do not feel any wind blowing out the back of the case when the case is closed. Don't all answer at one time now. We only have so much bandwidth. $35C. Actually, this may be an AMD computer. I don't know. It's not. The other one I'm working on is AMD. And since nobody has any input on that one, let me also admonish you at this point in time, if you have not done a backup on your computer, you have once again been warned that your failure is on the way. I have run into at least 3 bad hard drives in the past 2 weeks, thankfully none of them mine. And of all 3 of those hard drives, I have not been able to retrieve the data off of one of them. Normally, you can get some of the stuff off of them. Nothing, unable to get anything at all off these hard drives once they trashed. So, if you've got important pictures, family pictures, financial records, things that you particularly like, I would suggest that you go to the trouble to back up. And what brand? What brand of what? The brand of the PC. The PC is Lenovo. The hard drives, the 2 of the 3 hard drives, and I don't think this is a coincidence, 2 of the 3 hard drives that crashed on me are Hitachi. And having said that, my personal experience, and this is just my opinion, is if you have a Hitachi hard drive in your computer, if I were you, I would go make a ghost of that. As I would make an image, I would copy to a new hard drive and take that Hitachi drive, label it as historic, and put it on a shelf somewhere and forget that you ever owned it.
Yeah, they
I wouldn't give you a nickel for every one of them.
Disk Star or Travel Star.
Same thing.
Not reliable.
In my personal experience, they have been the worst hard drive that money can buy is a Hitachi.
Yep.
I would never knowingly buy one. However, they used to ship in all IBMs and Lenovo's. They used to be good drives.
I apologize for my seeming inattention and lack of comment, but I felt like I needed to respond quick right away to
Good. Gary,
yeah.
You do what you need to do, Bruce.
You know, I mean, this is the beautiful part about live broadcasting. That some people probably are bored to death with this bamboozer discussion, but I mean, a lot of our people are broadcasters and consumers of Internet content. Mm-hmm. And being able to see the backstory and understand what's going on, to me, where else are you going to get it? I mean, it's useful information as far as I'm concerned.
Right. So,
fixing computers for free. Did we finish that one?
So then they expect free tech support for life.
Right, and you know what my issue with that is, and it's my own fault, is every time I work on one, I end up putting parts in them, and then I don't ever charge them for the parts.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that is really, really important. People adopt risky habits because they are getting free tech support. A lot of people will say, "Oh well, I can always." Hey, I'm going to do it. If something goes wrong, then Amnon will fix it, or Mike will fix it, or Nick will fix it. I'm going to do it anyway. That's bad.
Well, that's when you start charging.
Well, the whole idea here is about free.
Yeah,
Mike?
but, I mean, how many times is something free? So, Mike, if I get a virus or something, or a hard drive dies, you know, I bring it to you once, you do it for free. Now, what if I'm bringing it to you twice a month? Are you still going to keep doing it for free?
Now, listen, you guys hear Nick saying this. Let me ask you a question publicly, Nick.
Sure.
How much did you charge Todd for this computer you sent him?
Absolutely nothing.
Thank you very much.
computer was 7 years old.
It doesn't
no,
matter.
no.
It's a very nice thing, and it's going to help this guy out.
Okay,
and
okay.
That's exactly the mindset that we're talking about
Okay,
here.
now if he said, "Okay, Nick, send me a computer every month," that would be a different thing. It was a 7-year-old computer. I had no use for it. I sent it to him, but I'm asking. Yes, I've done free computer support and work for people, but at what point do you charge? Is it once a month, twice a month, two times every 2 months? I mean, at what point do you say, all right, enough's enough, I need to be compensated for my time?
Yeah, I don't charge for my time, but I did institute a policy about a year ago. I said, even to my friends, I said, you know what, I'm going to fix your computer for free, but you do have to pay for the parts, because
Okay.
I ran the numbers one time, and I give away over $1,000 a year worth of computer parts.
Let me share, because I think this is worthy of discussion. I want to share a concern, an issue that was raised in my gracious response from Hans Eriksson and Bamboozer that I think we need to address, because, you know, when you have a company who has been gracious and responsive thus far, and, you know, there's a responsibility on the broadcaster side, too. And here's the issue. How fair is it for a broadcaster to broadcast HD 24/7 on a CDN like Bamboozer?
It's not.
And mess this service up for the people who use it on a more normal basis to broadcast a live show, to have it stored, and then to be able to embed it or have it even ready on demand on your website. I mean, this is an abuse of a service like this, any service like this, to stream high definition 24/7.
No, I agree.
I wouldn't call that an abuse now.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I definitely would.
Well, wait a minute. Hang on,
No,
though.
absolutely. How can you? It's a free service. I mean,
But who controls that, Bruce?
well, they do. You know, it's you know, you'll never convince me it's not an abuse for somebody to broadcast high definition 720p 24/7 over a service they're not having to pay for and jeopardize the service for more normal users as its purpose was intended. It was never intended to be a 24/7.
How do you know that?
Yep. Is that written somewhere?
It's common sense, guys. It wouldn't have to be written. Who's going to pay for it? Somebody's got to pay for it.
I agree. They're just using.
And if you don't want mid-roll ads like none of us like, then this is an abuse, pure and simple to me. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, we're not. I don't think we're disagreeing. I think we're wondering about. It goes back to my question about whether Bamboozer handled this the right way. All I'm saying is and I do not know the internal intricacies of how this CDN, Bamboozer, any of these guys work. Mm-hmm. But it would seem to me, again, not that they don't have an absolute right to control how much goes out there. Could not agree with you more. But I'm thinking two things. One is that the services that say we are free subject to a fair use restriction, which says that if we think that you are abusing the service by streaming HD 24/7, that B, we're going to shut down your service. I mean, that's what Time Warner and other ISPs do with regard to bandwidth. So I don't know.
But for a lot of these guys, not for now, there's some of them that are up in the more professional range who really could afford to do it or negotiate deals with other content carriers. But I think it's rather arrogant for some of these people, especially, for instance, radio stations, who just, you know, to think that somebody is going to want to watch their HD live stream at 2 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night or 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I mean,
but that's what
and
the
then there's a
service
bunch
is
of
for.
people who are kind of wannabe, you know, Leo Laportes, who think that, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of all this free bandwidth. And how many people actually, you know, listen 24/7 to their shows when it would be just as easy for them to click an episode that they want to watch on demand? I mean, Leo can afford to pay for live.twit.tv. he pays for it, but we don't pay for that kind of service.
Andrew makes a good point about Justin TV. Justin TV welcomes 24/7 people. They want people to be streaming 24 hours a day.
There's another problem with Bamboozer if you do 24/7. There is.
So are we just talking about Bamboozer now? Because from what Bruce is saying, he's saying streaming to any service 24/7 is abuse.
If the service is saying that it's okay to do, then there's no problem.
But any free service that's offering free bandwidth is saying it's okay to do it. They're
Let
not
me tell
offering
you.
free
Let me
bandwidth.
tell you what's the problem with Bamboozer, though. Bamboozer records whether you like it or not.
So can't you delete
So
those
whose
shows?
problem is that? I mean,
Yeah,
that's the same thing that was happening for a long
wait a
time
second.
with
Wait a
Mixer.
second. Wait a second. So yeah, you have to go and delete, but it takes a lot of resources.
But they're screwing
And
themselves.
I understand. So they never put in any mechanism to check for that, to say, no, you can't do it, or to even see if anybody is really doing it, maybe, until somebody maybe took inventory of what was going on, and maybe that's what brought it up.
Yeah, so they shot themselves in the foot.
Still not good enough reason to do it that quick and without more notices, but there are ways. I mean, you can look at it and say, yeah, because they never had a mid-roll. They were solid for the most part, and it's just like Bruce is saying, it's sort of like common sense. I don't know what it's. I don't know if it's in the term of service that it says that you cannot do it or that you can do it.
If they didn't want you doing it, they'd shut you down. That's what Mike said, though. If they didn't want you streaming 24 hours a day, they'd say, hey, you know what? Screw you. You're using our free service.
But maybe they do not have the mechanism to detect such things. I mean, remember, we're sitting here.
Can.
We're sitting here. They're over there with hundreds of thousands of broadcasts.
Yeah, but they can see bandwidth. Amnon, if you're using a terabyte of bandwidth on their service a month, guess what? They know who you are.
I don't know that they have. And I'm not going to speak for them. I don't know that they actually have a way to see that you're using that much, or is it a?
They definitely do.
I don't know.
Not. Let me make. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, Andrew. I don't think I am, because you've been very, very public about this. But I'll disguise some of it. There is a service that is paying Andrew to be on their service 24/7 because it builds their network.
Right.
They are paying him to be on the network. He's not paying for the bandwidth. They're paying him to be on the network. The thing about whether it's abuse, I don't think we're disagreeing here. I think we're saying that if a particular provider says that it is for incidental use or reasonable or fair use, and then you abuse it in that way, then yes, that's abusive. And if it is abusive and it's obvious and clearly discernible from their terms of service that it's abusive, then I totally agree it's abusive. But if they have not made that public,
right,
I don't know.
Right.
I guess.
Well, I mentioned in the chat, this model that we've all been enjoying for some time, I believe, becomes unsustainable at some point, because as internet broadcasting grows and more people start doing this, unless advertising and more advertising and mid rolls and lower third pop ups can support it, it's eventually going to become unsustainable as it grows and scales.
I agree.
And then at that point, it's up to the provider to figure out what they can or can't do to sustain themselves.
Well, then that's what Bamboozer apparently did at this point. But I still don't agree with the way they did it.
I think Ustream, when we started Amnon with Ustream, they were incredible. It was as close to a perfect service as I could have imagined. No ads, no nothing. Then they went with the pre-roll. Okay, they've got to pay the bills. But then they went with the mid-roll. But you know what? A lot of people still use them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Amnon, switch the video.
I think that
what do you see? What are you seeing, Mike?
All we were seeing was Bruce there for a while.
Wait, you're behind. I see the quad on the
Now we got it. Yeah.
Andrew made a great point, Chad. He says, I don't see how it's abuse. If it was, they'd cut you off. And I agree with him 100%. I mean, all of these CDNs, like Justin TV, like Ustream, like Bamboozer, can see where traffic is coming from. I mean, it's on their stuff. It's their servers that are getting taxed. They can see where the bandwidth is coming from. If Amnon is using way too much traffic, they're going to cut the cord on Amnon. And he can't do anything about it.
Well, you see, at this point, that's what they essentially did.
And it is what they essentially did.
Yeah, let me comment
with the different levels, that's what they did. They are not allowing you to do 24/7.
Yeah, so they did cut off. Only they just they killed the fly on the baby's head with an axe, so to speak. Okay.
Yeah.
And so they dropped the guillotine, and it's drastic. And I think they could have done it better.
Right.
Time in the chat is saying it's their fault for not controlling their network and or paying attention. Yes, to
agreed.
a point. But when you consider how this is growing, and and what kind of staff they have to see who, as Nick said, are the major infractors, as far as abusing, because there are definitely some who abuse it. That's I believe that, and maybe they could have different terms of service, but it's kind of the way it played out and came down is fine. But I believe, but to say that it's on the business and not the consumer, I don't believe that's 100% accurate too. I believe there has to be consumer responsibility as well, because you can abuse an offering in any kind of a business situation and cause it to then become a failure for other people who want to use it. So I believe it's both ends. Yeah, they should have been able to monitor and cut off, people who were.
I tell you something, and I'll go with what Nick said. It's free. You can't expect much. And I'll take it further and say, maybe they did sit down and say, okay, look, we have all these that are using so much. We have all these that go in 24/7. We have all these that are doing such and such. And we have all these that do such and such. And we think that we need to start trimming it. And maybe somebody stood up and said, guys, don't worry about it. Don't do a thing. In a month or two, we're going to change our model. All these people are going to be gone because they're not going to pay. And since they're not paying for anything right now, they can't expect anything from us. It's possible. I'm not saying that's the way things happen. But instead of having your workforce sitting there and starting to peel one at a time and notify and spend time and all that the boss or the manager or whatever would say, don't do a thing. In a month, the 27th, we're going to change. And at that point, none of these people are going to be here because we're going to force them off. So it's very, very, we don't know. We weren't there. It would be nice if we could be a fly on the wall at the meeting where they made that decision so we know. But at this point, we can just guess what was going on. But I agree with Andrew 100% that they are interested and they should have programs 24/7 because that's where they put the ads. They don't put the ads on replay. And the fact that they're interested in broadcast, that they want citizen journalism, they never hid that. They were the ones known for journalism, for news, for what's happening around the world. Ustream was for artists and things. Sort of like Justin was for gamers. But that doesn't mean that they are not. Oh, maybe that was their main thing. I remember going. What do you remember from going to the front page where you saw Computers 2K Now so many times at the top? What else is way at the top? Bruce, remember?
I don't know, but
I was looking to
put
see, okay, who's so good that you know who? Watching the deer at the forest coming to eat, and it's 24/7. That's abuse.
Yeah, and as far as these citizen journal, I rarely watch anything. I mean, the times I've tried to watch them, the video quality has been horrible. The audio has been horrible. There's a language barrier. You can't understand what's being said. And, I'm curious. I'll check on something, what's going on in Tahrir Square, something like that. But this is over a cell phone. The bandwidth is minimal. It's, I don't think this is their business model.
Oh, I disagree.
How many of them do you watch, Nick?
I don't watch any of them. I don't watch anything
to
on
my
Bambuser.
point. I mean, I don't.
Yes,
I think.
But they have always stated journalism is what they wanted to do. They have always said that.
Yeah, they did.
They've always said journalism is our thing, and that's what Bambuser started was for journalism.
I don't know. I'm not sure. You may be right, but my gut
he's
tells
right.
me that
he's
they
right,
didn't
Bruce.
start this way for this reason. I think when they came out with their phone app, and because it was on Android, and a lot of these third world countries have more Android devices than they do have iPhones, I think it bubbled up to become that. But I don't think that was their 5-year business model or mission, vision, and purpose to start with, to become the CDN for citizen journalists.
Well, that's what they went to. And they must have went there for a reason.
Who knows what the original concept was? I mean, whenever Amnon contacted them a year and a half, 2 years ago, I believe at that time they told Amnon that citizen journalism was their thing. Remember, they sort of got slapped a little bit because they've been used by Al Qaeda for they and Pal Talk as well, from what I recall, have been used by Al Qaeda for communications purposes.
No, it's not, and this is why they're mentioning now in their term of service that or in their notice that they will make they will look at citizen broadcasters and make exceptions, because I guess that's where they want to. We don't know. We're guessing. We're just guessing. But the point here is that, yes, it's their company. They have to come up with, this is how we're going to make money, and this is how we're going to lose money. So we're going to go with that, and they have all the right to do it. Just like we're doing our budget at home, they're doing their budget at work. But again, it goes back to, it should have been handled a little bit better. But
I don't know.
It's done. It's done. And yeah, they're going to lose some good broadcasters and good shows, but obviously they don't care about that.
No, of course they don't.
And time will tell if they're right or wrong.
I have a feeling that they're going to end up. I have a feeling that they're going to bounce back and be very successful.
It may be. It may be. Andrew, are you still here?
No, Andrew
he's
left.
gone. Because I'm really at this point, I'm wondering how I don't see any type of statistics from Daily Motion. I mean, there are no numbers.
We can talk about it after the show. I can show you where they are.
All right. So there's going to be some work to do. What?
It's just, I just, yeah, like you said, time will tell, and time will tell if they did the right thing here or if they didn't.
It's fine. I mean, life goes on.
Yeah, for sure. People just have to move.
Back to computer repair, Mike. We can't hear you, Mike.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
On a more positive note, I've been advocating for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and I am happy to report that the group came through. And when Beth originally wanted to raise $500 for her walk, which was yesterday, to participate in her group called Kiss My Pancreas. She successfully raised $1,276.
Yeah.
Over half of it thanks to this group. And I thank you, and she thanks you, and she's sincerely appreciative.
Very nice.
Of the
Very
help.
nice. And talking about Beth and Rick's house and Mike getting into working on furniture.
What about furniture?
Well, on wood.
Oh.
We're going back to computer repair.
Oh.
Number 7. It doesn't end with computers.
Yeah, if you can fix a computer, can you fix my air conditioner?
Can you imagine how it's going to develop? Things can snowball. Your service isn't just free, it is costing you money.
That's a fact.
Yeah. And number 10 is fixing computer is too much like work.
I don't agree with that one.
So you shouldn't do that.
I enjoy it.
All right.
I enjoy
919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Let's see.
Where's Spence today?
Spence is in New York for his 40th high school reunion, which was last night. I told him, I said, I don't accept this. If it's Saturday night, you finish. I don't care what time. You get in your car and you come back. He said he was going to try. Yeah, right.
We're in New York.
I don't know. I guess on Long Island or somewhere.
We ought to go see Andrew.
So, let's see what else is here. And Nick explained to me what lightning cable is on iPhones.
Is this the thing we talked about last night?
Yeah.
Okay, so the new iPhone, starting with the iPhone 5, iPhone 5C, and iPhone 5S, they have Apple has created their new adapter called the Lightning adapter. It's about the size of a micro USB cable, and it's only on Apple devices. The iPad Mini has it, and the iPhones have it, and I think maybe the full iPad does. I'm not 100% sure on that. And just like any other charger, if you have an Android phone or previously if you had any other iPhone, if you lost your charger and you didn't want to pay, $30 for Apple's overpriced charger, you would go to eBay or Amazon or wherever, Walmart, and Belkin made them, and a bunch of these other Chinese companies made these chargers, and
right.
They'd work with your phone fine, they'd charge your phone. And with iOS 7, they've changed that, so now you have to buy Apple's Lightning cable or Lightning connector for your iPhone, and I think it's personally I think it's ridiculous.
So if you don't upgrade to iOS 7, if you stay with 6,
yeah,
everything still works.
Yes, I believe so.
And I know you upgraded. I know that Mike upgraded. Do you see any reason to upgrade? Really? I mean, forget about this problem.
The only reason to upgrade is so you don't keep getting harassed for the upgrade.
Yeah, I mean their cable is $20.
Oh,
and that's total BS. I mean it's a freaking cable. It's a USB cable.
Yeah. So
and
it's no longer magnetic or whatever. Is that the magnetic?
No, it is magnetic. But I mean, $20.
Mini?
I mean that's a complete sham. I don't care what anybody says.
Micro USB magnetic.
Well, no, it basically is micro USB. It's the same. It's similar to micro USB. It's not exactly the same. But this is just again
a way for them to make more money.
This is the reason I hate Apple. I mean, truly, this is the stupid shit that makes me hate Apple. Is the whole buy our $30 cable I mean, they're screwing you. So when you buy into this Apple ecosystem, know that you are royally getting screwed by this company. You spend, $10,000 on your computer that's got a Pentium 4, and now you have to buy their $70 adapter to put a CD drive in, or whatever sham they're running today. It's stupid. It shows their ignorance. And personally, the reason why I don't buy Apple devices is crap like this. This is the point that I try to make to people. I just don't hate Apple because I can't afford them or whatever else. It's stuff like this. It really is. It's a real turnoff from a company.
All right, and talking about iOS 7, this reporter says, is iOS 7 slower than version 6? After upgrading, myself and a few others noticed slow, choppy experience when scrolling, changing apps, etc. Is this common? Did you notice anything like that?
The only thing I've noticed with iOS 7 is it kills your battery. Absolutely kills your battery.
So how many hours did the battery lasted before?
I'm not 100% sure. But all I've been told from friends and family members is that they have dramatically seen their battery decrease over the time of the day.
Mike, you using it all the time.
I haven't noticed that as much as some people have complained about. I do notice that it turned on my Bluetooth, which I do not use. I turned it off last night.
Yeah, and I think that might end up, some of that stuff might be the culprit, is that, this update to iOS 7 is turning these features on, and people just turning them off. Like, oh, I never had Bluetooth on. I never had, location services on. Now that I've updated, Bluetooth is always on and location services are always on. So it could be as simple as stuff like that. But I think this is the first iOS update that has seen this much backlash. Like, I feel like I've just seen a lot of backlash on this.
They changed the entire look and feel. They even changed the way you close apps in the background. Why?
Yeah. Innovation.
I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, they changed the contrast of the colors on the text in the background. Why? I don't get it. It's just not necessary. But they're rich and I'm not, so who am I to say?
Well, it's kind of the flavor of the day, of the week, so to speak. Everybody's going to this flat look. Google did it this recently, and moving away from the 3D drop shadow effect. It's just that Apple went far more neon than the more pastel look of Google and everything. So, I think, it will change again at some point, but.
And and it's like anything else. After you get it, you got to gripe, moan, complain about it, and then you get used to it, and life moves on.
Right.
And on the new phones, they have. Why in the world, even though I'm not on the video, it keeps that quality and export and Facebook up?
Just move your mouse off of it.
I did. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And then it comes back.
No, it's not there. It's not there for me. Must have something else over it.
Yeah, it was there for me too. As soon as I moved my mouse to white space on the page, it went away.
I don't know if it'll come back, but the bottom, the live and so forth would just come on and go away every now and then, but it's not doing it now. I don't know. Anyway, so the new iPhone has fingerprint reader, right?
I've used it. Yeah.
So there's such a thing as called the Chaos Computer Club. And they claim to have managed to break Apple's Touch ID using everyday material and methods available on the web. And they were explaining it on their website. They have claimed that all they did was photograph a fingerprint from a glass surface, ramped up the resolution of the photographed fingerprint, inverted and printed it using thicker toner settings, smeared pink latex milk or white wood glue onto the pattern, lifted the latex sheet, moistened it a little, and then placed it on the iPhone iPhone 5S's fingerprint sensor to unlock the phone.
There you go. Simple as that. Now, when you touch a glass, somebody's going to have your fingerprint.
And what crook is going to take the time to do that?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
A crook will
NSA.
probably cut your finger off.
Yeah,
No,
crook
the
will
crook's
kill
not
you.
going to even take the time to do that. The crook's going to bang you on the back of the head, pick up your iPhone when it drops out of your hand, and run and take it. And they'll have it sold, in less than 24 hours.
And by the way, I've been told that cutting off the finger does not maintain the fingerprint for very long.
Right.
Oh.
Just to get in there once.
Just in the movies, huh?
I guess.
That's right. All you have to do is just put it. I mean, you don't even have to cut it off. Just do it as
I
the
just hope the
person
bad guys
down there, and
realize
then
that
change
cutting
it.
off the finger doesn't help.
What if you you tranquilize them?
Once you're in it, you can change it, right?
Yeah. Once you're in
Yeah.
there, you could just turn it on.
Yeah.
By the way, in Apple's defense, there was some initial problem. It was not clear to me what it was. There was some initial problem with this fingerprint reader. There was an update to iOS 7. I know that last night I installed the update, which was I went from 7.0, I guess, to 7.0.2 or something like that. So if you did update to iOS 7 and you have not updated the latest patches, you should do that.
Hey, let me share with you a great tech find that I came across this week. If you're interested, it's a service called Mighty Text.
Oh, yeah.
It's an extension you can get for Chrome. And I hadn't planned on sharing this, but my wife just texted me, and I got a notification. This is what the Mighty Text website looks like. If I go to my Gmail, there's a separate app that will allow you to compose SMS. It adds a text thing to your Gmail, so I can go here and I can see the different text. But my wife, and I'll kind of come off that because I don't want to just see everything here, but I got these notifications, and the notifications are off to the right of this web cap that I'm doing. But I'll go ahead and click on one of them. And so you can see I got this pop-up, and I can, from my PC, reply to text messages, and it's really quick and simple. There's a Mighty Text app for your Android phone where they sync together. This also lets me know what my battery life is. If I go back to my Gmail account, you'll see that up here in the upper right-hand corner, it tells me that my battery is at 88%. It's really quite an interesting feature. And then I even get this pop-up here, which I can anyway. This brings you back to the regular Mighty Text site, and they've got this Power View where you can look at all of the text conversations you've been having. It's really, really quite helpful and functional. So Mighty Text, I recommend it.
Nick was telling me about it yesterday, and as I understand, it's Android only.
Somebody said that they couldn't find it in the App Store.
Yeah,
for iOS.
no, it's not iOS. It is not on iOS. It is Android.
If and when it becomes available, I will use it. It is a much needed service.
It will not come available on iOS unless Apple
why are you
completely changes.
saying that?
Because Apple doesn't let third-party apps have access to SMS and stuff like that. So, unless Apple completely changes their ways, which we all know is not going to happen.
But can't they approve an app?
No, just an app doesn't even have access to it. Like you can't build an app to even to implement with that stuff at all. It just doesn't do anything.
Well, I mean, at some level, I understand being very protective of SMS. I already get enough SMS spam that it's aggravating, but thankfully it's not as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
MightyText.net.
Correct.
Okay.
I put a Geizo link in there for anybody that's interested. That's That's part of the web interface. That's just 2 text message threads that I have open right now.
Now, this is to come, and it will become a reality at some point, but Google will implement SMS text messaging within the Hangout app, and that's going to be nice when they do that.
SMS within the Hangout.
Within the Hangout app on your phone.
Oh, on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because they already have SMS through the web.
Yeah.
They already have that interface, and it works really well.
I've never used it.
It works really well. I mean,
is that part of Google Talk?
Gmail.
Oh, okay.
Gmail chat.
Yeah, see, I've made phone calls through Gmail before. But
Right, but they also have SMS, and you have to go through, what is it, Bruce? I think it's the, what do they call those suckers that you have to add? The labs. You have to add SMS to the desktop or something to make it really user-friendly, but add SMS chat. And the way they do it to prevent abuse, I guess it's working for them, is that you have 50 SMS messages. Every time you send one, of course, it decrements the number of available text messages you can send. But then when you get a reply, it bumps it back up by 5 or something like that.
So it's built so that spammers can't use it.
Correct.
Or
you cannot wholesale text IM people.
Yeah, so if you send 50 spam text messages, your account will be done.
Well, at least that account would be.
Yeah, so you'd have to create a bunch of accounts, which is very, I mean, think about it. Only 50 text messages, that's not very, I don't think that would be worth it for a spammer. Only 50.
By the way, Alan said that iTunes Wi-Fi sync works a lot better for him under iOS 7. I mean, there's no, well, I say there's no doubt. I don't think there's any doubt that iOS 7 update is going to have some bug fixes and enhancements. And generally what we bitch about is what they've broken, not what they've fixed. So it will be interesting to see what is better with iOS 7.
All right. If he had his druthers, Bill Gates told the Harvard audience, Control-Alt-Delete would never have seen the light of day.
I saw the headline, but I did not read the story, so I'm interested in hearing.
However, an IBM keyboard designer didn't want to give Microsoft a single button to start things up, and thus the iconic 3-finger salute was born. I mean, it's a good thing. Can you imagine having just one key that maybe you hit by mistake? Just one key and it'll restart things?
I don't know. I think it'd be nice to have a single key for task. I have a single key for Task Manager.
That's different, but to restart the computer.
Control-Delete doesn't restart, doesn't it? No, it pulls up that little window. I have a single key for Control-Alt-Delete.
What is it?
I have a macro for it.
Why?
Because it's nice to have Control-Alt-Delete have Control-Alt-Delete on a macro. I use it all the time.
And what happened if you hit that key by mistake?
I just hit it right now. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Anybody heard from Nick lately?
Oh no! I click the key, and then I click cancel. I mean, I use it for gaming because it's a lot easier. Control tabbing while gaming sometimes doesn't work the best because it'll do in-game functions. So I do Control-Alt-Delete, open Task Manager.
You see, okay. Now I know what Nick is talking about. Yeah. Mike, in the early days, Control-Alt-Delete will not bring the Task Manager up. It would do a reset.
That's what I recall. Is that correct, guys in chat? Are we remembering that correctly?
Yeah. That's what you'll do. You do Control-Alt-Delete. There is no way to recover from it. Bang, that's it. Yeah, that's right. Since Windows, it brings up the Task Manager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But remember, when they started with DOS, there was no... He's talking about back then.
Oh.
That good point, Nick. You brought a good point. Mike, something for you to comment on.
Uh-oh.
Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia has filed a lawsuit against Lodsys a shell company that gained infamy 2 years ago by launching a wave of legal threats against small app makers, demanding they pay for using basic internet technology like in-app purchases or
Your
feedback
audio's cutting
survey.
out. I didn't hear what you said.
The what?
Your audio cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
Cut out?
Yeah, you dipped like you moved away and gated.
Lodsys,
Okay.
they sue them because they became, that company gained infamy 2 years ago by launching a wave of legal threats against small app makers, demanding they pay for using basic internet technology like in-app purchases or feedback surveys. In the complaint filed this week in federal court in Wisconsin, Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia asked a judge to declare that 4 magazine iPad apps are not infringing Lodsys patents, and that the patents are invalid because the so-called inventions are not new. The complaints explained how Lodsys invited the company to take advantage of our program by buying licenses at $5,000 apiece. It also calls the Wisconsin court attention to Lodsys' involvement in more than 150 Texas lawsuits. In choosing to sue Lodsys and hopefully crush its patent, Martha Stewart is choosing a far more expensive option than simply paying Lodsys to go away. The thing that I didn't understand, it says that patents are invalid because the so-called inventions are not new. How long
That's a conclusory opinion.
How long after a patent is there? There is no expiration, is there?
Sure, 20 years.
Oh. So Martha Stewart is getting into the game.
Well, a lot of people are. I mean, that's just standard fare. I don't even know why that's news.
Here is something that makes a bunch of sense. If Google can block child abuse images, it can also block piracy sites.
Wait a minute. If it can child abuse images.
Yeah. Child abuse. I mean, I guess child pornography.
Kitty porn.
Kid porn, I guess.
I don't know what child abuse images are.
According to a report for MPs who said they were unimpressed by Google's derisorially ineffective. Derisorially?
Disorderly?
No. Derisorially ineffective efforts.
So they didn't make any effort.
Okay. To battle online piracy, according to a Commons Select Committee report looking into protecting creative industries. John Whittendale, MP, the chair of the committee, and also a non-executive director at Audio Network, an online music catalog, noted that Google manages to remove other illegal content. Google and others already work with international law enforcement to block, for example, child porn from search results, and it has provided no coherent, responsible reason why it can't do the same for illegal pirated content.
Okay.
It makes sense, but how do you tell what is
doesn't.
pirated, what's not?
There you go. You got it right there. There is. I just went on the Pirate Bay, and there was a whole category for Unix. All of these things that are under these Unix things are 100% legal. These are ISOs that the company
put out there,
and then these people are seeking to get faster downloads. This is why you can't block these sites. There's plenty of there's free there's Creative Commons music on these sites. There's open source programs. There's open source games. I mean, there's a lot. There's lots of illegal movies and TV shows, there's things that are also not illegal on here either.
Sure, but that's the thing is, how do you make the distinction between the two on the fly?
You can't, and that's why you can't block the site. I mean, if the whole site, if there was not a single thing on the site that wasn't illegal, then, I mean, I'm sorry, if the whole site was full of things that were illegal, then yeah, block it. But there's a whole category. There's many categories of things that are not.
All right, here's what the answer is. The answer is that with kiddie porn, you can tell by looking at it that it's illegal. Other content, you have to do research into the background to know who has rights to what, to know whether it's illegal content.
Right. It's not. It's
obvious on its
black
face.
and white. Yeah.
Racist.
Yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of 100% legal things on the Pirate Bay, and I've used it many times to download Linux distros. When I was setting up my laptop for Linux, that's where I got all my distros, was from Pirate Bay.
Somebody sent me, I don't know if it was Brian or someone, we even in the group sent me well, you saw it, Amnon. He sent me a torrent link to download a legal file.
Yeah.
Yep.
And somebody in the group said, illegal downloading. Torrent's
Well,
not
that's
illegal.
Yeah,
torrenting is amazing. I don't know why downloading from the server is useless. Torrenting is so much quicker.
In fact, I don't think it's working well yet, but at some point it's theorized that a lot of the CDNs about which we've been talking today, that the actual technology may flip over to torrenting such that you don't have the Bamboozers and the Vaughns and those having to provide all these mega servers with bandwidth, that it will in fact be a shared thing through a torrent type technology.
Yeah, peer-to-peer is where it's at. It really is.
Because it maximizes the use of everyone's bandwidth instead of having to provide a lot from one source.
Yep.
And nothing from somewhere else.
If I ever have the chance to download something via .torrent, pick it all the time. It's so much quicker.
Hey, just kind of interesting. I went to one of these churches. This happens to be Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Wisconsin.
Oh, Alan.
And you can see that they have the Bamboozer embed there. And if you look at their chat, is that why there's no live feed? I don't know why. They're watching a previous service and everything. Hopefully, it will be up and running on Thursday and thereafter. So I have Facebook message my good friend Alan Bunt, who is the video streamer there for this church and everything, to let him know the situation currently. So, and this is just one example, but I'm sure there are tons of them today.
Never mind.
Again, who did the website for Alan?
I'm not sure.
Because really, I mean, you can go and set up an account real quick on Vaughn or on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Dailymotion is a little bit more involved, but Justin or Vaughn, I mean, you can do it in a few minutes, and then just change the code in there.
Yeah. Most of these guys, they get to church, they're ready to, to go, and then it takes them time. It takes them time to figure out what happened before they can come up, what solution.
Yeah, because you always think that it's something to do with you.
Oh, yeah.
When we started, I said, well, I think I'm going to have to reboot.
Oh, I was adjusting bit rates and everything, resolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wired Magazine is exploring how early kids should learn to code. Oh, I wanted Nick to be here. One of the challenges is to find the proper time in schools to teach programming. Are teachers at elementary and middle school levels really able to teach this subject? The article suggests that even very young kids can learn to program, and lists a couple of early experiments as well as more established ideas, including the scalable game design curriculum. However, the article also suggests that programming may have to come at the cost of foreign language learning and music. I don't know. I still don't understand why schools, even elementary schools, middle schools, whatever, don't enhance their offering by going to the web. I mean, music is important, foreign language is important, but if programming can help the kid, then have a class that is online that the school conducts after hours.
It's major growth area, Amnon. The universities in particular.
Universities are doing it because the students don't want to go to a brick and mortar. They do it.
That's not the primary motivator.
What's the motivator?
There are two motivators. One is they can reach beyond their geographic limits and
Right.
they can get tuition
Yeah.
from
Sure.
students that
Sure.
are anywhere in the world.
Sure.
It also, the cost of them providing the
It's a
education
lot
is
cheaper.
much lower, even though they don't cut the rate.
Right.
It's highly profitable for the university.
But why can't elementary and middle schools do the same thing? And high schools, I think high schools, they have some stuff.
What?
Can you
Online?
do any kind of classes online?
I wanted to do class online. They are ridiculously expensive. You're like upwards $500-$600 a class a semester.
From the
They're
school?
No, from
No. I'm talking about the school.
There's just no. The school doesn't offer, but there is a service that the school is partnered with that offers online courses, and they are way too expensive for. I mean, for what you're getting, you could probably go to a private school for cheaper than what it
Yeah,
would cost.
because
at high
they were
school.
talking about how early should they teach kids programming. I would say when they're 16 or 17, like you, right?
Yeah. I
they're
would
talking-
love
but they're
to. I would love
talking-
to do my schooling from home.
Yeah, they're talking about no. Well, that's not what I'm talking about. They're talking about kids in elementary and
Oh.
middle school. Teach them, but they're saying the article also suggests that programming may have to come at the cost of foreign language learning and music. And I was saying, why can't they just enhance it with a class after school that they can go home and do it, so it does not take away from the other subjects.
Yeah, schools haven't caught up to this online thing yet. They're still about 20 years behind
You know
It's
why?
a shame.
because they're a bunch of idiots. That's why.
No, they're not all idiots. There is a grave concern that the more they're online, the fewer actual teachers may be required.
I disagree.
No, I'm telling you there is a concern there. I don't know that it's a valid concern, but there is a major concern among the teachers' unions for that purpose.
So instead of this teacher making their hour and a half commute to school every day, there is a service where all 23 students at 9:32 connect to this service, and now they are all in the class with this teacher. I mean, I've heard that too. That now teachers are going to be limited. No, because kids still need to have somebody to teach them.
But you're assuming that it's live teaching and not a pre-recorded or pre-prepared course.
The services that I looked at with my family were all live services. It was audio, and the teacher had a presenter
Right.
thing, and it was like a virtual whiteboard.
That is one of the models.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing model.
Oh, I agree too. So, but again, in fact, I have a question about that. Maybe you can answer. Well, I've asked this. No one has really known.
Okay.
Under that model, let's assume that at 9:32 every day everyone connects. How do they know that it's Nick sitting there watching, participating in the classroom? How do they know it's you?
In what respect? I'm confused. What you mean? If I'm doing the work.
What if you paid Amnon $50 to take the class for you? How do they know it's you sitting there taking the class and not Amnon? Do you have to have a webcam?
No, probably not. No, I mean, if I'm going to pay Amnon to take the class, then what's the use? I could sit in school every day and then pay Amnon to do my homework for me.
No. Well, you could, but we're talking about being there physically present, because if you go to class, your teachers look at you and they look at your face and they know it's you.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm not doing any of my work and I'm still paying Amnon to do my work, there's really no difference, is there?
No, yeah, there is. Let's suppose that the online, and this is a very real concern in the educational environment, because let's suppose that the course is on something that's not a required course for you to graduate. You just don't want to deal with having to take a course in metallurgy. But it's going to give you a credit, so then you give somebody $50 to take the course for you,
okay,
which defeats the intent of the school to give you a well-rounded education to include electives such as metallurgy.
Okay, now Eric made a good point, which is true. You have to come into school for tests. So your local high school...
In that model, you're saying?
Yes, in the live model, all
right.
state-mandated tests and all unit tests, you are required to go to school to take those tests.
So that's a good check on the system. But again, when you have these universities, and the ones that I'm familiar with, I mean, they are just salivating over signing up students overseas. Because you look at the devalued dollar, compare that with foreign currencies, and the $42,000 per semester education at a major Ivy League university is a major hit for someone in the United States. In another country where the dollar is 50 cents, it's only $24,000 or $22,000 or $20,000, depending on the currency, and that's attractive to people who want a major Ivy League education. So they're not going to show up for testing. No, you're right.
And
I honestly don't know the answer to the question. It's a real curiosity thing. I'm involved in an online internet course where the powers that be often say, "How do you know that that's Nick taking the course?" And the fact of the matter is that it's a one-day course, and the answer to the question is the authentication is no better than it is if Nick shows up with a fake driver's license at an in-person course. Unless you're going to do a DNA test, how do you know who's taking the course? The course itself is so boring and punitive to have to sit through, it'd be pretty hard to get somebody to take it for you.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, of course there's concerns, but I think that there's many ways to combat those concerns, but schools just aren't willing to take the... I really shouldn't say risk, but take that challenge, because, to be honest, I think you can get a lot better. I mean... Let's see. So let me open a calculator here real quick. So I have...
There's a lot of, while he's doing that, there's a lot of options for education. One of them is, of course, your traditional classroom with a teacher, 24, 30 students, textbooks, and so forth. Another is self-paced, where where students sit at a cubicle and they have curriculum that they just work on themselves, and the teacher's available should they have a question. Then there's a homeschooling model where people are at home, and then there's this type of model. I think one of the things to keep in mind with these different models is, as a parent, you would have to determine which one of these models matches up best with your child's personality and learning skills. Just like I telecommute, I work from home. I can guarantee you, of the 200 plus employees that we have in the company I work for, not all of them are suited to be telecommuters. Some of them are. And same thing with students. Some of them could be served extremely well by a learn-at-home online model. But then there would be some students for whom that wouldn't necessarily be the best. A parent would have to be responsible to determine which one of those models would work best for their child.
Right. And that's true for people telecommunicating, like you're saying, for work, because I happen to be very familiar with that arrangement, and some people work better telecommuting every day. Some people work better telecommuting fewer days. Some people are totally abusive of the privilege to telecommute, and some people don't get it at all. So it's all across the board.
So I just added it up. I spend an hour and 20 minutes a day doing nothing during school. That's 5 minutes in between each class. That's a 15-minute break halfway. No, what do you mean it's not true?
You're sitting there on the internet texting us and.
No. That doesn't even include the 2 46 minutes classes I have a day where it's a free period. This is just 5 minutes in between each class, 15-minute break in the middle of the day, and like half an hour for lunch. So
you call lunch wasted time?
No, but I'm not
part of the day for me.
I'm not doing anything.
Oh.
It takes 5 minutes to eat lunch, so I walk around for 25 minutes.
Yeah, if you don't do lunch, you can't get that 5-layer burrito.
Ooh.
Plus 2 46-minute classes where I don't do anything. That's 167 minutes a school day where I am not in class.
So what's your point?
Well, no, I think online. You could do an online school day in a half of the time that it takes to do at school. I mean, 167 minutes where I am not learning anything, or where I am just either sitting there or walking through the hallways. That's a lot of time.
You guys have probably already noticed this, but I'm noticing it for the first time because it's the first time I've really took time to look at it. But latency is far lower on Daily Motion than what I've seen on most streaming CDs.
You know, I noticed that a couple of weeks ago with Andrew when he was on Daily Motion. When I would pop it up, like when I would open a web page, and it would start playing before I wanted it to, before I could mute it, and like when I was getting ready to be on one of his shows, and you're right, the latency was much lower on Daily Motion.
Mm-hmm.
And for most parts, I don't know that it matters that much. I actually, when I get a chance, I like participating and listening to a guy named David Jackson, who is at schoolofpodcasting.com.
Mm-hmm.
David does a Spreaker show of about 35 minutes every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern, which is a lot of fun. It's a show that doesn't have a major agenda. He gets on there and plays with call-in studio. Yesterday he was playing with Blog Talk Radio's telephone interface for taking callers. Very casual, laid back, anything goes. Boy, the latency on Spreaker had to be 30 or 40 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, there would be 3 or 4 comments before he would read the 2 or 3 comments back. In fact, it was so bad that I called in because he was doing some testing with Blog Talk Radio, and I called in. And after I hung up, I just casually reached over and turned the audio back up and sat there and listened to the last few seconds of my phone call to him.
And with YouTube Live, it's 45 seconds.
Yeah. Well, with YouTube Live, you can understand it. My gosh, all the traffic they have is incredible.
Self-destruct.
That's what's going to happen. Well, we're coming toward the end of the show. I got to say,
Yep.
I was preoccupied most of the show, trying to think how to. And Nick hates to go to school.
Nope, never said that.
He doesn't want to go to school.
2 hours, 7 minutes a day.
Are we pot fading?
What, me?
No, 2 hours and what?
2 hours and 7 minutes a day.
Oh,
I
I
do
thought you said the
absolutely
show
nothing in
today
school.
was 2 hours and.
No.
Oh.
No. Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's pretty good.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's 3 hours that I'm
Yeah,
doing
but
nothing.
while you're sitting there doing nothing, you're not out getting into trouble.
I'd be sitting at my house getting into trouble.
See?
Out
And
getting
how-
into trouble. I don't
James is
dare you.
asking how long is your school day?
I get to from 7 to 2:30.
Your first bell rings at 7.
Well, I get to school at 7.
What time do you have to be in your seat if y'all still do that anymore?
My homeroom, which is broadcasting, starts at 7:15.
Okay.
So 7:15 to 2:15.
So how long does it take you to get to school?
10 minutes or so.
Okay.
About 7 hours.
Yep. Just think, whenever you graduate and get a job, you'll be able to go in at 7 and get home at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. Okay. And be working year round.
As long as I have something to show from it.
Yeah. Some places more than others. All right, let's wrap it up.
You want it in a brown paper or?
Yes.
All right.
I have computers to fix.
Mike,
Yeah,
will
he
you
does.
fix my
Actually,
computer?
he does. He does, yeah.
Mike, I need help with my Mac. Will you help me?
Macs don't break.
Get a
Oh, okay.
Chromebook.
You don't need to do anything with a Mac.
Why?
Macs just work.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was an experience.
It's been real.
It's been real, yeah.
Life goes on.
Oh, yeah. Still need to figure out how to do it.
CraigDigitalDesigns.com.
Absolutely.
There we go. Shameless plug.
No, it's not shameless.
I had to do it.
Nick does. Yeah, there's a couple more minutes, and we're going to get into it. Nick does WordPress work, Roku apps,
And soon to be web hosting and domain
yeah,
registration.
You just need to go and look at CraigDigitalDesigns.com. Design or designs?
Designs. Finesse.
Designs. And see what he offers. And you really should take advantage and help the guy make it. Nick puts a lot of time to help people for free. And it'll be nice to have a source of income for him. He is very entrepreneurial. It'll happen, Nick. It'll happen.
With time, everything happens.
Yeah. This is why the other day when you say, well, look, I had it already for 3 weeks, didn't see a thing. It's going to take time for the website to generate. It's just a matter of, there's nothing shameless about putting a plug. Give me a break.
That's just that's just a term.
I need, instead of putting radargaming.net over there, I need to put craigsdigitaldesigns.com.
That's just an internet meme. Whenever you promote your website, it's a shameless plug.
Nah, I don't see anything shameless about it. So yeah, Craig. There it is in the chat. CraigDigitalDesigns.com.
And go Steelers. There we go.
No, I don't know about that. Now that's shameless.
I'm sorry. Did I cross over the line?
Who are the Steelers? I don't know.
Not a very good team this year.
Not a very good football team. That is true.
Okay.
Barely a high school football team.
So it's been, like Bruce said, it's been real. Thanks, everybody. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Before I finish, anybody else has any announcements?
Not me.
All right.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bruce?
No.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook. Click the button on the lower left. Tonight at 8 o'clock, it's Carrie's Psychic Cafe. Tomorrow morning, well, you will hear that all in this. Bye, everybody.
tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays, 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.